Hey everyone, in this tutorial we are going to build a simple but super useful age calculator app using Jetpack Compose and Material 3. This app lets you save and manage important occasions like birthdays, graduations or any special date and shows you exactly how long it's been since that day in years, months, days. It also gives you full breakdowns from total years to seconds in a beautifully designed UI using Jetpack Compose. What you will learn in this tutorial: how to build UIs using Jetpack Compose, save data locally using Room database, use Kotlinx DateTime to calculate durations, add dependency injection with Koin. And the best part, the libraries we will use also support Kotlin Multiplatform, meaning what you will learn here can be used in other platforms later. This project is perfect for beginners. I explain everything step by step and in simple language. So even if you are just starting with Android development, you will feel right at home. By the end of this video, you will not only have a fully working age calculator app, you will also gain confidence in building real-world Android apps using modern tools. Sounds exciting? Then hit that like button, subscribe, and let's jump right into building our age calculator app in Jetpack Compose. Let's get started. So first thing, we will create a new project. So go to your Android Studio and click on this file, new project, and select this empty activity. Next, and you can name your application. In my case, I have used the age calculator, and minimum SDK we are going to use 21, and build configuration this Kotlin DSL, and then simply click on this finish. It will take time and a new project will be created. And I already have created the new project, so let's cancel it. And once a new project will be there, you will see these two packages in your Android tab. First go to this Gradle script, and here we have three files we need to modify. First this project level build.gradle, next is module level build.gradle, and then we have version catalog file. First we have this project level Gradle file. Here we specify the plugins that will be applied for the whole project, and by default we keep the apply value false. We only applies these plugins to those modules where they are relevant. These plugins gives us the core functionality in building the Android app. Next we have this module level Gradle file. In our project we are going to have only one module, but as the project grows, we can also multiply our whole project into different modules based on features or something else. And here you see whatever plugin we had in our project level file, we are also having here. But we are not providing that apply false because they will be applied true. Next we have this Android block, and then we have this dependencies block. In this dependency block, we specify all the libraries we are going to use in our project. Libraries are some code which have been written by someone else, and instead of writing everything from scratch, we can reuse that code in our project and build on top of that. And here you see, we are not specifying the IDs directly. We are giving the reference of those IDs. When you press Ctrl B on any of these, we will be redirected to this version catalog file. And here this is the file where we specify the actual IDs and their versions of those libraries. With the new project, you will get only these. I have added these versions after creating the new project. Here you can either copy these versions and libraries IDs from the GitHub repository, or you can simply clone the initial code branch. And in this libraries block, Here are the additional libraries IDs I have specified. And in the last, these are the additional plugin I have used. Here one thing you need to consider, that this KSP version is directly linked to the Kotlin version we are using in our project. So right now this is the latest Kotlin version available. And for this Kotlin version, this KSP version is compatible. So if you are using any other Kotlin version, then you should also check out the KSP version which is compatible with that Kotlin version. Next thing, in our project level file, I have added these three additional plugin reference, and here again these three plugin reference in our module level file, and after this room block for the schema directory, and these additional dependencies I have added after creating the new project. Then you need to sync your project, and to make sure everything is working fine, go to your build and compile all sources. Now let's close this file. And after this Gradle script, we have this app package. So let's open this Kotlin plus Java and this package. And here we have this main activity. This main activity is the entry point of an application. So from here the Android will start running the code. So how we are going to approach in this app? So here are the screenshot of our app, and first we will design our second screen, this one. And then after designing it, we will give all the functionality to this screen. Then we will add the local database support. Then we will start designing our first screen. So here in our second screen, first thing we will design this top app bar. So in our base package, let's create one package with the name presentation. And here in this presentation package, create one package with the name calculator. And in this calculator package, create a file with the name calculator screen. And here create a composable function with the name calculator screen. First, let's go through the layouts, because layouts helps us arrange a UI elements on the screen. We have three basic layouts. First, we have column. It places items vertically, one below the other. Think of it like stacking blocks top to bottom. Next, we have row. It places items horizontally, side by side, like lining things up left to right. And then we have box. It allows items to overlap or stack on top of each other. It is also useful for positioning elements in the corner. And for our screen, all our items are stacked vertically. So we will use column layout for whole screen. So here let's use the column layout. And in this column layout, we have a modifier. So we can modify this column, and here we will use the fill max size modifier. So this column will take the maximum available size of the screen. And one more thing we can provide is the horizontal alignment. So the child of this column layout should be aligned in the center. And first thing, we need to create a top app bar. And we don't need to create the top app bar from scratch. Jetpack Compose has many built-in components that already follows material design like top app bar, alert dialog, date picker. So instead of building everything from scratch, we can use material design component, and these components are customizable. So here let's create a private composable function with the name calculator top bar. And apart from this screen composable, we will keep all our composable function as private, so they can only be accessed within this file. And here we have the top app bar, and here we can provide the title, and for title we will use a text composable. and the title will be age calculator. So this top app bar is giving error because it is an experimental API. So let's opt in this annotation. And let's use our top app bar here in this column. And let's also create a preview function so we can also see the preview side by side, and name it preview calculator screen. And here in our preview, call our first theme age calculator theme, and then call our calculator screen and open this preview window. And here is our preview. In our preview annotation, let's do one thing. Provide the show background to true, so the background will not be transparent. And here is our top app bar. Next thing, here you see start of the top app bar, we need to provide one icon, and at the end we need to use two icons. So here in our top app bar, for specifying the icons at the start, we have this parameter navigation icon. And here in this parameter, we will use an icon button. We need to specify the on click. Let's leave it blank. And here in this icon button, let's use an icon. And in this icon, we have three overloads, and we are going to use this image vector. With the Jetpack Compose, we also get some icons, and we can access those icons with the help of this icons class. So let's use it, and then we have this different variant. We can use default, rounded, auto mirrored, filled, outline, sharp. So these are the different variants, and most of the time we use this default. And when you press dot, and you will see a list of icons we can use in our project, and we need to use the icon arrow back. And this arrow back icon we can access with the help of that auto mirrored. So let's opt in that. Next thing, we need to provide this content description. So what this icon is, we need to also provide the text, and this icon is for navigating back. Next, we need to provide the icons at the end of this top app bar, and here we have the parameter with the name of action. And again we can use this icon button two times. First icon will be a delete icon, so let's use this default delete, and content description will be simply delete. Next icon will be for save, default dot save. But here you see we don't have any icon for saving, so we can use icons from our Android Studio, because with the Android Studio also comes with so many icons. Go to this resource package, drawable, and right click on it, new, click on this clip art, and here we can get all the icons. So let's use the, and we need the save icon, and here it is, and let icon save, and we need the filled icon. Next, and then finish. And here is one file for that icon. And now we need to provide the icon from our drawable resource. So we need to use the painter overload, and here use the painter resource and provide the ID R for that resource, and we need to import the R. This R is of our package drawable dot icon save, and these on clicks we will provide through the parameter. So let's create three parameters. And first attach this modifier to our top app bar. Next this on back click, on delete click, on save click, and scroll up, and we need to provide some values for these parameters. So let's just leave them blank and open the preview window. and here is our top app bar. And here one more thing we need to consider, that this delete icon will not be shown all the time, because if user is creating a new occasion, then this delete icon should not be there. It should be only there when the user is navigating to the already created icon. So it can only delete that occasion. So here let's keep one value with the name is delete icon visible, and here we can simply use the if condition here. If this value is true, then only we need to show this delete icon. So here if we provide the false value to this is delete icon visible, and here you see there will be no delete icon. So by default let's keep it true. Next thing, we need to create this emoji circle. So there is no particular circle shape in the compose. What we can do, we can take a box and then we can round those corners 100%. So that box will make the circle. So after this calculator top app bar, let's take a box, and in this box we will use the emoji. Later in the video we will look how we can add emojis. For now we will simply use the letter E for emojis. So here let's use the text composable and use this text with letter E. Let's modify this box. First thing, let's give a particular size 100 TP, and then the clip modifier to clip the box to the circle shape. And if we open the preview window, and we are not seeing anything. If we click here, we will see a box and there is some element there. So here first thing, let's make this E little bit bigger. So we will give the styling to this style parameter, and we have this material theme dot typography dot display large, and here you see a big E. And first thing, let me explain you how we are providing this styling. In Jetpack Compose with the Material 3 design system, we get predefined typographies. If you press Ctrl B on this display large, and here you see the source code, and we can see the different styling we have available in this typography. So these are 5 typography with 3 variants. So in total we can define our text styling in 15 different ways. And here you can see body large, body medium, body small. Same with the display large, display medium, display small. And we are using this display large. So it has some predefined values of font size, font weight, and all those things, and they will be applied automatically to this text. Next thing, we are not seeing anything for the box. That's because we have not given the background or the outline. So we will use the outline for our box. So let's use the border modifier, and we need to provide the width. Let's use 1 dp, and the shape, let's also use circle shape. And here again, if you press Ctrl P, we see we have 2 different variants. Either we can provide the color or the brush. So if you want a single color, then you can simply use the color. But if you want some kind of gradient, then we need to provide the brush. So we need the gradient, so let's use the brush. And to this brush, we can access so many different gradients: sweep, linear, horizontal, vertical. And let's use the linear gradient. And here we need to provide the list of colors. So for now, let's use the list of, here I will use 2 colors. So let me copy those 2 colors and go to the project, and here we have a package UI theme, and here we have a file color, and let me paste those 2 color here. You can also get these two colors from the GitHub repository. So let's specify these two colors for the gradient and open the preview window. And here is our circle, and we need to make this E in the center, so we can use this content alignment to alignment.center. And here is our emoji box. One more thing, let's also make this box clickable. So just use the clickable modifier. For now, leave it blank. Next thing, we need to create this text field. So after this box, let's use an outline text field, and we need to provide the value. Just leave empty string, and the on value change also leave it, and let's also provide the label. So this text field will be used for title. And one more thing, let's also provide is the parameter single line true. So by default, this outline text field can go into the multi-line, but in our app the title can be kept in a single line. So this text field will be a single line text field. Now see the preview. And here is our text field. Let's provide the modifier fill max width. So this text field will take up the maximum available width. And we also need to give some space in between of this circle and text field. So here let's use the spacer and provide the height because we are in the column. And here is our text field. Now next we will design these date sections. So here we will design a single row of this date section, and then we can reuse that for the from and to. So here our top app bar, let's create a new function with the name date section and make this private. And here we need to stack the items on the horizontal axis, so we will use the row layout. And in this row layout, first we have this text, and we will provide the title through the parameter. Next we need to provide the date string, and then we will have an icon for the calendar. So let's copy this icon, and here we have the calendar icon with the name date range, and this on click we will provide through the parameter. And also attach this modifier to this row. Now let's use our date section. After this outline text field, we need to provide the title. For first date section, the title will be from, and date string, let's use something like 20 December 2025, and then we have this date icon, click and copy this, and let's use one more time for 2, make this 28 Jan. Now open the preview window, and here we have the date section. First thing, go to our date section, and let's align these items of this row layout center vertically. And here we have this parameter vertical alignment, alignment.center vertically. Now next we need to make this date and the calendar icon on the right side of the screen. So here we can simply use an spacer with modifier dot weight, and we can give 1f weight. So here by giving this 1f weight, this spacer will take up the maximum available space in between these elements. So in result of this spacer, these two elements have been shifted to the right. And next thing, here also let's use spacer after this outline text field, and also in between these date section, but here it will be 8 dp. Next we need to design this age text. And here this age text we are also going to use in our second screen here. So here we will create a separate composable function so we can reuse that in our second screen also. So here go to the presentation package and create a new package with the name component. And let's make a new file with the name stylized age text and create a composable function with the same name. And here let's use the text composable, attach the modifier and use the text something like 25 years, 4 months, 14 days, and give a particular styling, this material theme, typography, body large, and also create a preview function for this. And open the preview window. And here is our text. Also use the show background to true. So here is our text, but we need these numbers 25, 4 and 14 in different styling, something bold. So here we have two options. We can use a row layout and then we can place 6 text element, and then we can use different styling for the numbers and different styling for the other text, year, month and days. And another option we have, we can build an annotated string. So with the help of that annotated string, we can provide different styling to different text portion. So here let's use the stylized text, and this will be an annotated string. And to build the annotated string, we have a function with the same name. And here we can use the with style block. And in this with style, we can specify the text on which that style will be applied. So let's first specify the style. And we will use this span style. And for those numbers we need to use the font size little bit bigger, and for font size we use the SP unit, and then the font weight bold, and we can say that we need to use the style, this highlight style, and this style will be applied to the number. So let's use the number 25. And after this 25 we need to use the text years, and this years will have the normal styling. That's why we are not wrapping it inside the with style block. And copy it, use it 2 times, and then we have the stylish 4, then normal months, then stylish 14 and normal days. And instead of this, let's use our stylized text and open the preview window. And here you see, wherever we have wrapped the text in this with style block, we have a highlight style, and this is how we build the annotated string. So here these values will not be hard coded, but we will provide through the parameter, this years integer and again months and then days, and use these here. And here just provide the year 25 months. Now let's copy this, minimize these imports and go to the calculator screen, and after our date section let's use it here and open the preview window. Next thing, we need to design this age statistics card. This also we will keep in our component package. So here create a new file with the name statistics card and create a composable function with the same name. So here first thing we will use an elevated card and attach the modifier to it. And here we need to keep all those text, so let's use a column. And first let's use a text composable for the heading, and heading will be age statistics. And also create a preview function. And here is our statistics card. Now next we need to give these text. So here we have a particular design of this single row, like total year 25. So we will create a single row, then we can reuse that single row for every single statistics with different values. So here let's create one composable function with the name total time row. Make it private. And to this function we will provide the label of type string and value of type int. And here use a row with two text. First text will have this label, next we have this value, and this value is an integer, so let's convert it into string. And we can use this total time row here, and let's also attach the modifier to this row. Let's use the label total years, and then we need to provide the value. So here for all these values we will provide through the parameter, but we will not create parameter for each values. Rather we will keep a data class and then we will provide that data class. So here in the last, create a data class with the name age stats. And first we will keep the years value of type integer, and by default we will keep the 0. And let's create the same for months, for weeks, for days, for hours, for minutes, and for second. So this data class we will provide through the parameter age stats, and from this age stats we can get the value. And similarly let's duplicate it few more times. Next will be months, weeks, days, hours, minute, second, and use their values. And our preview function giving error, so let's provide some default values. Also add the names. Now open the preview window, and here is our age statistics card, and we need to modify few things. First, make this column fill max width, and then give some padding all around it. Next we need to give spacing in between each item, so here we can provide vertical arrangement and use the arrangement space by, and we need the space 8 dp in between each item. Next thing, we need to make our heading bold, so here let's use different styling. And we also need underline on this heading, so we have this text decoration, and use this text decoration dot underline. Next we need the values bold, So here let's use the font weight bold. Next thing, these numbers should start from the half of the box. So we can provide the weight. So these two texts should take half of the row width, and we can provide so with the help of weight modifier and use the weight 1f. Now both these texts will take up the half width of this row. Next thing, this label should be aligned to the end. So both these things should be at one place, and here we can do so with the help of text align and then use this text align end. And here is our age statistics card looking as we expected. So close this preview window and use our age statistics card in our calculator screen after this stylized age text, and open this preview and give spacing in between these two. And here is our age calculator screen. Now next we will make our screen compatible to the landscape mode also. So here let's scroll down, and instead of this preview annotation, let's use different annotation. Preview screen sizes and zoom out. So with this preview screen size annotation, we get preview of our screen, how it will look on different devices, and our app will be run on the phone. So let's just see the phone. And here you see that on the portrait mode our screen is looking great, but on the landscape mode it's not looking that great, and we can see the text field is taking too much space, and also those date section. So let me show you how it will look. So this is how we need to make our screen to look on the landscape mode. We will keep two different sections, and then on the landscape mode we can keep like this. So first thing, after our top app bar, let's create one composable function with the name header section, and here let's use a column, and in this header section we will use from this box to these two date section, cut from here and use it here. And to this column let's attach our modifier and also provide the horizontal alignment to center. Now we can use this header section after our top app bar. Next we will keep the section with the name statistics section. So after our header section composable, let's create a statistics section and make this private, and also that header section, and cut these two composable and use it here. And again we will use column and then attach this modifier and also make this horizontal alignment to center, and put these two things inside this statistics section. And now we can use our statistics section after the header section. Now if we see the preview, we are not going to see any changes. That's because we have not doing anything else. We just put all those different composable into these two sections, and here we will use the flow layouts. Flow layouts are the layouts where if there is not available space, then the item can be placed on the next line. So here we will use the flow row, and in this flow row let's keep these two things. Now to our header section, let's first provide the modifier And here we will use this modifier width in and provide the max width to 400 dp and copy it, use it for here also. And now see the preview. And here you see on the landscape mode we have both these two sections in a single line, but on the landscape mode we have these two sections side by side. And here we are specifying the maximum width to this header section and this statistics section 400 dp. So this flow row will see if there is available space, then it can also place the items side by side. So on the landscape mode, flow row has enough space to keep the two items in a single line, but on the portrait mode, it doesn't have enough space. That's why it has placed the item on the next line. Next thing, let's give some padding all around this section. So here let's use the padding modifier with 8 dp padding and copy it, and here use the 16 dp padding. And here we have some padding. And next thing, on a smaller screen these two sections cannot be fully placed, so we can make this flow row as scrollable. So on the smaller devices these section can be scrolled. So here first use the fill max size modifier. So this flow row should take up the maximum available size, and use another modifier with vertical scroll and provide the state with remember scroll state. Now our flow row will be scrollable. Now let's also see our screen in our app. So use our calculator screen in our main activity. Here let's use our calculator screen and provide this inner padding to this screen and delete this greeting composable and also from here. And here is our phone. Keep this side. Now run our app. And here is our screen. And let's also rotate this screen. And this is how it will look on the landscape mode. We can also scroll this. Now next we will add the emoji and a emoji dialog picker. First, let's take a look at emojis. Emojis are those tiny pictures you see in messages, like this cake for birthdays or this head for graduation. They help us express emotions or represent something visually. In technical terms, emojis are special text characters. Just like letters or numbers, emojis are stored as Unicode values, which means we can save and display them in our app using normal string variable. That makes them really easy to use. We don't need to use images or icon. We just copy and paste an emoji and it works like text. So whenever you see an emoji in the app, remember it's just text with some personality. And if you need to add emojis, just on the Google type emoji. And we have many websites that provide emojis. So let's click on this first website. And here suppose we need the cake emoji. And here we have this. Click on it, copy. And go to the calculator screen and scroll down in this header section. we have this box where we are simply using E. So if I paste that emoji instead of E, so here we will get the Unicode of that emoji, but we need to paste the actual emoji. So here we can paste that outside this quotation. Now we can keep this inside the quotation since it's a string, and let's delete it. And this is how we paste emojis in our app. And if we see the preview, and here we have cake emoji. Now next, let's create an emoji picker dialog so user can also select their favorite emoji. Go to the component package and create one more file with the name emoji picker dialog, and create a composable function with the same name. So for dialogs we use this alert dialog, and here we need to provide few parameters like this on dismiss request, confirm button, title, and the text. So first let's provide the title. Here simply use the text, pick an emoji, and create a preview function also, and open the preview window. So here we have one dialog with the title. Next we need to provide the body. So the body we can provide to this text parameter, and for body let's create a separate composable function with the name emoji grid. Make this private, and here we will use the lazy vertical grid, and here we need to provide the columns, and we need the fixed number of columns, and there will be 5 columns. And here I will paste a list of emojis that is relevant to our app. You can modify this list of emojis according to your preferences. You can get this list from the GitHub repository. So here in this lazy vertical grid, let's use the items block and use this list and provide our emojis list, and we will get each emoji. Here let's use an icon button, and this on click we will provide later. We can simply use our emoji as text and attach this modifier to this grid, and use our grid in this text parameter and see the preview. And here we have one dialog with all these emojis. Let's make these emojis bigger. So provide some different styling. This should be display small. Let's give some padding, something like 4 dp. And this is how our emoji picker dialog is going to look. Some of the emojis are clipping, so let's use different styling, something like headline large. Now they are looking great. So this will be our image picker dialog. Close it, and we will provide the on click through this parameter on emoji selected. We will also provide the emoji through this on click. So here let's use our on emoji selected and provide the emoji on user has select, and copy this parameter and use it in our dialog also and attach it here. One more thing we also need to do, this alert dialog will not be open all the time. This will be only open when user will click that box. So here let's provide one value with the name is open. This will be of type boolean, and first attach the modifier to it and use the if condition with isOpenValue. If this value is true, then only this dialog needs to show. And to our preview function, we can provide this value to true and this on emoji selected blank. Now we can also see the preview. Now we will use this dialog in our calculator screen. So let's copy it and scroll up before our column layout. Let's use this emoji picker dialog. Now here we have two values. First one, this is open value, and next we have one value in our header section, this emoji. So here these two things are states. State simply means a value that can change during the app usage. Like this emoji in that circle. This emoji value will be changed according to the user what emoji has selected. So this emoji value is a state. Likewise, this is open value of this emoji picker dialog is also a state because this is open value will be changed according to the user's action, whether user has closed this dialog or whether user has opened this dialog. So these two things are state. So first we will look into how we can manage state within a composable function. Then we will look into the special class ViewModel. So first let's create two state within a composable function. Let's use this where first this is emoji picker dialog open and use this remember block, and we keep these states in this mutable state of holder, and by default we will keep the false value. And next we need to keep the state for that emoji, so name it emoji, and here this will be a string, so by default we will keep the cake emoji. So copy from here and use it here. Now attach these two states to their respective values. So here first we have this is emoji picker dialog open, and we need to access this with the help of value. And then we have our header section, and we can provide these two values through the parameter. First this emoji of type string, and also provide that box on click, on emoji box click. First attach this on emoji box click here, and then the emoji state here. And to our header section we can provide the emoji from our state emoji dot value, and next that on emoji box click leave it blank. Now our next job is to update this state according to the user's action. So first, how this is emoji picker dialog state will be changed. So when user will click that emoji box, then this dialog should be open. So we will make this value true, and we have this on click here in our header section. We can make our is emoji picker dialog dot value to true. And how that dialog will be dismissed? So I forgot to add that. Go to the emoji picker dialog, and here we have this on dismiss request. This will be called when user will try to dismiss the dialog either by clicking outside the box or by pressing the back button. So this thing we will provide through the parameter on dismiss request, and attach this here. And here we have one more parameter confirm button, and in this dialog we are not going to use any buttons. And to our preview let's just use empty parenthesis. Go to our calculator screen, and here we have this on dismiss. So when user will dismiss this dialog, then we will make our is emoji dialog picker value to false. And even if user select the emoji, then also we need to dismiss the dialog. So again we can make this value false. Now next thing, how we are going to update this emoji. So when user will select the emoji, we will get that selected emoji through this on emoji selected. Here we are getting a string. So we will simply update this string to this emoji. So let's just use emoji dot value to the value we are getting through this parameter selected emoji like this. So this is how we update the states within a composable function. Here one more thing we can simplify. You see we are using this dot value everywhere whenever we are getting the value or setting the value. So here we have the by keyword. So it will delegate the getter and setter itself. So just simply use this by instead of this assignment operator and import this get value and also the set value. Same thing let's do here. Now you see we are getting the error on this dot value. This is because now we can access this value directly without this dot value and also set the value directly. Now let's run our app. Here is our app. Click on this emoji box and here we have the emoji picker dialog and let's click on this burger and we have the burger emoji, and if we click outside this box then this dialog will disappear. And now let's select this and here we have the another emoji. So you see with the help of these remember and these mutable state of, we can keep our states within a composable function. But let me show you one thing. First open the dialog and rotate the device. And you see that dialog has been disappeared. Again open that dialog and rotate back to portrait. Again that dialog has disappeared. So here what's happening? This remember block can only keep the state during the recomposition. So whenever a composable function will be recomposed anytime, this remember block can keep the updated value. That's why you see that when we click the emoji box, we have this dialog. It will not be disappear until we change the app's configuration. App's configuration like screen rotation or switching the light mode to the dark mode. These are app's configuration. So this remember block cannot hold the state during that configuration change. That's why we keep our states in a special class that is called ViewModel. But if we want to keep the state that should also survive the configuration change, then we can also use remember savable. Here we have another block with the name remember savable. So this remember savable can also survive the configuration change, but it's better to always keep our composable function stateless, meaning we should not hold states within the composable function. This is because for managing the states and users action, we have one special class in Android that is called ViewModel. So next we will add the ViewModel to our screen and we will manage these states there. So go to our calculator package and create a file with the name calculator ViewModel. And this class will be of type ViewModel. So Android should know that this class will act as the ViewModel. Now here you see we are keeping these states individually. But in our ViewModel we will keep a data class and in that data class we will hold all our states related to our calculator screen. So we should not need to manage these states individually. So in our calculator package, let's create a data class with the name calculator UI state. And for now, let's keep our two states. First one, that emoji of type string, and we always need to keep the default values, and we can get the value of emoji this. Next, that is emoji dialog open. This will be of type boolean, by default false value. And now we can remove these from here. We can provide our state data class to this screen, and this state from our state data class, and in the similar way this emoji. So we need to update these emojis in the view model. First we will hold these states with the help of mutable state flow, like we were using here the mutable state of holder, but here we will use the mutable state flow, and we will keep the two version of that state. First one will be the private, use this mutable state flow. The default value will be our calculator UI states, whatever default values we are using. And next we will use a public version and use our state as state flow, and make also this UI state. Now next thing, we have these user actions, like when user will dismiss the dialog, this on dismiss request will be triggered. In the same way, this on emoji selected. So these user actions also we can keep in a single class, so we don't need to manage them separately. So here in our calculator package, create a file with the name calculator action, and these calculator action we will keep in the sealed interface. And let's use this data object show emoji picker. This will be of type calculator action. Next will be this dismiss emoji picker, and one more will be emoji selected. So with this emoji selected, we also need to pass the emoji which user has selected. So let's also create the emoji of type string. And since this data object cannot hold the value, so we need to make this data class and use our calculator action in our screen. Here use this on action. We will provide the calculator action, and let's first attach the action here, like on action calculator action dot emoji selected, and we can pass the selected emoji, and this is how we attach the actions. In the same way, here let's attach the dismiss emoji picker, and we have one more on click, this on emoji box click. So here let's use the show emoji picker action, and to our preview function we can provide default values. Now go to our calculator view model, and we will manage all those action within a single function. So create a function with the name on action, and we will provide the action of type calculator action, and here we can simply use the when block. Press alt enter, add remaining branches. So here first we will provide this show emoji picker action. So here when user will click that emoji box, this show picker action will be trigger, and here we simply need to update our is emoji dialog open value to true. So we update the value with the help of this update function. Take our whole data class and copy it, and we simply need to update the is emoji dialog open value to true. And when user will dismiss the emoji picker, then we will make this value to false. And when user will select the emoji, here we need to update two states. First, this is emoji dialog open to again false, and next thing that emoji state. So here use the emoji and we will get the new emoji with this action. And this is how we update the states in the view model. Now we need to attach the states and the onAction function to our screen here. So this screen we are using in that main activity. So go there and we need to provide the state and onAction. So first we need to get the view model. So view model we will get, this will be of type calculator view model, and we will get the view model object simply with the help of this view model function. So this view model function you see coming from this lifecycle view model compose, this import. So make sure you are importing this correct import. And from this view model we can attach the onAction function, and state we cannot simply attach like this because right now our states of type state flow, but our calculator screen composable function will simply need the state values. So we will collect those state flow values with the help of a function. Use this by keyword with ViewModel dot UI state, and here we have one function collect as state with lifecycle, and we can attach these state here. And this by keyword is giving errors, so we need to import two values. Duplicate this import and we need to import the compose runtime dot get value. Now our by keyword will not give error anymore. And run our app. And here is our app. Open this emoji picker. Now if I rotate the phone, and you see we still have the emoji picker dialog. If we rotate back to portrait, and there is we have our emoji picker, and close it. So here you see the role of view model. A view model is a special class that stores and manages UI related data. It survives screen rotations or configuration changes. It acts like the brain behind your screen, keeping track of the data so your UI can display. Now next we will add the date picker dialog, but before that we will learn about few terminologies on the DateTime APIs. In real life we talk about time like 24 May 2025 5:30 p.m. But in programming we need to represent this using numbers so that computer can understand and calculate with it. And first we have time in millis or epoch time. So it's the number of milliseconds that have passed since 1st January 1970. For example, if we call this code, it will return a value like this, which means a particular date at a particular time. And this is how computers store time internally as a long number. And next we have the time zone. A time zone tells us where on earth a time value belongs. For example, if it's this number in UTC, that could be 3:30 p.m. in India or 6 a.m. in New York. So the same time millis means different times for people in different countries. Time zone lets us show time correctly according to the user's location. Next we have instant. An instant represents a specific point in time without a time zone. It helps us standardize time before converting it to a human readable format. And then we have the local date time. It's a combination of date and time based on the user's time zone. This is what users are used to seeing. It's easier for them to understand, like this date instead of this number. Now we will add the date picker first. So go to the component package and create a file with the name custom date picker dialog and create a composable function with the same name. And for the date picker we have a special dialog with the name date picker dialog. And this date picker dialog should not come from this Android app import but from the material 3. And we need to provide the on dismiss request for dismissing this dialog and the confirm button, and then we have the content. First, this date picker dialog giving error, so opt in this annotation, and this on dismiss request we are going to provide through the parameter. So here just use this on dismiss request and attach it here. And these confirm and dismiss button we will use text buttons, and here we need to provide this on click, and here we can simply use a text, and for confirm button the text will be select and copy it, and for dismiss button the text will be cancel. And for content we can simply use our date picker. This date picker comes from this material 3 design system. And here we need to provide the state. So let's create a state here with the help of this remember date picker state. And here let's also provide the initial selected date millis. So here we need to specify what will be the initial selected date on that date picker. So here we can simply say that whatever is the current date, and it will get the date in milliseconds, and we can provide this state here. And to this dismiss button we can simply call our on dismiss request. So in both these cases dialog should be dismissed. And next we have this confirm button. So when user will click the confirm button we also need to pass the selected date. So here create one parameter with the name on confirm button click. And with this on confirm button click we also need to pass the time in milliseconds, so that will be of nullable long type, and we can attach it here on confirm button click with the time we will get from our state dot selected date millis. So whatever will be the selected date, it will give us the milliseconds of that, and we can also attach the modifier to it. And one more thing, this dialog will not be open all the time, so let's use this is open value and put this inside this if block. Now we can use our custom date picker dialog in our calculator screen. So like we are attaching the state and actions from the view model, so in the same way we will manage these things from the view model. So first thing, go to our calculator UI state and create one more state with the name is state picker dialog open, and attach this state to our screen. Is open to state is date picker open. And next we have this on confirm button click, then we have the on dismiss request. So here first thing, let's make this in a single line and put this here, and in the similar way let's do here. And first create 3 actions in our calculator action class. So copy these and use it here. This time we will use this show date picker. and this will be dismiss date picker, and this will be date selected, and we are going to pass the selected date that will be in the milliseconds of type nullable long. Now attach these actions in our screen, and first we have this on dismiss, so just copy this, use it here, and use this dismiss date picker. And for confirm button, use this date selected, and we will get the selected date and we can pass to this action. Next we need to attach the click when user will click on those calendar icon, and those calendar icon we have in this header section. So here instead of providing individual values, we can simply provide state and on action parameter to this header section also. So copy it and go to this header section and here provide it. Now we can remove these from here, and this emoji we can get from our state.emoji, and this action also we can get on action calculator action dot show emoji picker. In the similar way, we are providing the hard coded date string, so let's use the date from our state dot, and we don't have any state for the date, so let's create a state and attach it here. And same thing, let's copy from here and use it here, and this on click we can attach to those action. So here use the calculator action dot show date picker, copy it and use it here also. Now we need to provide state and on action, so just attach those here. Now go to our view model, and in our when block, after this press alt enter, add remaining branches. Now we need to update the state according to these actions. First we have this show date picker, and we need to update the state, copy it, and we need to update this is date picker dialog to true. And when user will dismiss this date picker, then we need to update this back to false. And in this date selected, we need to update two states, so copy from here, and we need to update first this is date picker to false and the date millis to whatever date we are getting through this section. And run our app. And here is our app. In the place of that date, we are getting the null value because by default we are keeping this value as null. But let's click on this calendar icon. We have a date picker. So let's select 2 June. And you see we are getting a big number. This is the date in the milliseconds. So we also need to convert this milliseconds into a human readable date. Next thing, I also want to show you that if we again open this date picker, if we click on this edit icon, then user can also type the date. And if we click the calendar icon again, then we have a calendar for selecting the date. If we rotate the screen, so here you see we have the date picker dialog intact because now we are managing the state in the view model. But in our date picker dialog, you see we don't have all the dates when the app is in the landscape mode. That's because for showing all the dates, this date picker needs to have enough space. So here we can do one workaround, like we can make this date picker scrollable. So when user will go into the landscape mode, they can scroll this date picker. So go rotate back to portrait and simply go to the date picker, and here just attach the vertical scroll with remember scroll state. Now our date picker will be scrollable. One more thing I also need to show you that when we select on any of these dates, you see that the selected date we are getting on both these from and to. And again, if we click on any of these date picker, it will update both the dates. So we also need to distinguish whether the user has selected the from date picker or to date picker. So for this, first go to our calculator UI state. So here let's keep two types in this enum class with the name date field, and these two types will be from and to. And let's also create in the state this value with the name active date field of type date field, and by default we will keep the date field dot from as the default. Next thing, go to the calculator action, and when user will click on this show date picker action, we will also pass the date field whether user has clicked from or to. So let's use this date field of type date field, and since the data object cannot hold this value, so we will use the data class. And go to the calculator screen and scroll down. Now here we can provide the date field dot from, and here we can provide date field to. Next thing, we also need to keep two states instead of this single date millis. So go to our state data class again and press shift F6 and rename it from date millis. Create one more state with the name to date millis, and go back to our calculator screen, and from date millis we already have attached here, and to date millis we will attach here. Now go to the calculator view model, and since this is a data class we need to use is, and we will get the date field value also. So let's also update that value here, date field to whatever date field we are getting through this action. And according to this active date field, here we can update this date millis. So first delete it from here, make this in single line, and here use this when block when UI state dot value dot active date field. Press alt enter at remaining branches. If this is from, then we need to update the from date millis to whatever date millis we are getting. And if this active date field is to, then we need to update the to date millis. Now run our app again. And here we have our app. First open this date picker. Now first let's see how it will work in the landscape mode. And here is our date picker. Now user can also scroll this like this. So let's select this date, and it will only update this from because we selected the from date picker. Now if we select this to date picker, then it will update the to date strings value. Now next thing, we will work on making this date milliseconds into a human readable date string. First close all these files. Here in this presentation package, create one package with the name util, and in this util package create a file with the name datetime util. Here we will create an extension function, and this extension function will be on the nullable long type, and let's name it to formatted date string, and it will return us the string. we will use the Kotlinx DateTime to format that milliseconds into a date string. And here we have a formatter. Let's create a formatter on this local date from this Kotlinx DateTime. And we have this format. And in this block we need to define the string format we need. So first thing we need the month, and that month name we don't need the full name but the abbreviation of that. Like for January it should be JAN simply. So here use this month names dot English abbreviated, then a space with the help of jar and provide a space, and then the day of month, and then the comma, and then again space, and then the year. And this will be the format we will use for our date, and we are not concerned about the time, so we will simply use this formatter to our local date. And we need to format the date, so here first get the date, but we only have the milliseconds, so with that milliseconds first we will get the instant, and instant is a particular moment of time. So here we will use this instant from this Kotlinx DateTime dot from epoch millis, and this needs the epoch milliseconds, and we will get through this keyword because this is an extension function on this nullable long type. And if this value is null, then we can simply use this system dot current time in millis. And make sure you import all these values from this Kotlinx DateTime, and from this instant we can get the date. So let's get that. First use our instant, and we can convert it into the two local date, and converting into the local date it needs the time zone, so we will get the time zone from the user's device. So let's use this time zone dot current system default, and this two local date time will give us both the date and the time, but we only need the date, so simply we can get the date. And now we can use this date to format, so let's use this return keyword, and here use our formatter dot format, and it needs the date, and let's provide the date. And this will be our extension function that will convert those milliseconds into the date string. So now let's use this function in our calculator screen. So here now we will simply use it like this, to formatted date string, and copy it, use it here, but change this to 2 date please, and run our app. Now you see we are getting the current date. This is because by default we are keeping this value as null, and when the value is null, so it will get the system.currentTime millis, and from this current date it will convert this date into a date string in a particular format. So let's select another date, something like this, and here we have that particular date, and this is how we can get the date string. Now next thing, based on this from and to date, we need to calculate this age. So here go to our calculator view model. So in our view model, after this on action function, let's create one more function with the name calculate stats. So here we need to calculate the period from the from date to the to date. So here we already have those from and to date milliseconds in our state data class. So first let's get those state, and here let's keep them in this from millis UI state dot value dot from date millis. In the similar way, let's get the 2 millis. So in the Kotlinx DateTime, we have one function with the name period, but that function needs the instant value. So let's also convert these millisecond into an instant. So here let's first get the from instant. So here we will use this Kotlin X DateTime. Make sure you import the Kotlin X DateTime, not this Kotlin time. Instant dot from epoch millis, and we can provide our from milliseconds, and these values are nullable, so let's keep the system dot current time millis in case of null. Similarly for this also, and in the same way let's get the to instant. This time we will use the 2 millis. Now we have the instant of these from and to values, and we can simply calculate the period with the help of these. So let's use the from instant, and we have this period until function on this instant, and we need to provide the instant of the other time, and let's use the to instant, and also we need to provide the time zone. So here let's create the time zone. Time zone we can get from the system current default and provide this time zone, and it will give us this period of time date time period. So this period value we will keep in our state. Go to our UI state, let's create a value with the name period of time date time period from this Kotlin X date time, and by default let's provide these default values, and by default they are just zero values for all these. And in our view model we can update this state. So let's use our update function 8.copy, and we need to update this period value to the period we calculated, and this calculate states function we will call whenever user will select any of the date from or to. So we will simply call this function, and this function will get the updated period, and it will update inside this state. Now this state we can access in our screen. So go there, and here we have this statistics section, and right now we are just providing this hard coded value. So we can get these values from our period value, and again we will provide the state to this section, and we can get this state dot period dot years. Similarly we can also get the months from this period, and same the days, and go to the statistics section and attach the state here. Now run our app again. And by default we have this 00 value. That's because right now the from and to date also the current date. So let's just select this date to 3 days back, and here you see we have 0 years 0 month 3 days, and let me select to 2021 and 1st June, 4 years 0 month and 3 days, and if I make this value to 1st May, it will be 4 year 1 month and 3 days, and let's also select this to previous date. Now it is calculating the date between these two periods, and you see this is how we will get those periods. In our view model we can see we have simply this period until function, and this function can give us all the values. It just needs the instant, and we can simply convert those milliseconds into the instant. Let me check one more thing. If we make this from value to something in the future, now it is giving the value in the minus because from date and this due date is less. And if we select the from date also something in the future, and it will calculate the date between these two periods. So this is working perfectly fine. Now next thing we will work on calculating these individual values. So for these we will calculate here. So first thing, go to our UI state, and here we will also keep that age state. So that data class we have defined in this stylized age text composable, not in this but in the statistics card. So here let's get this out of this and use in our state here and create one state, and by default we can keep the default values. Now our statistics card will give error, so we need to import the data class. So in our view model, here in this calculate stats function, we will calculate these values. And apart from this period, we also need to update that age stats. So here let's use our age stats and age stats. And we need to provide all these values. So here the year we can get from this period. So let's use this year as period dot years. But these values like month, weeks, we cannot get from this period value, because this period value will only give the month after the year's calculation. But we need the months in total. So here we will not simply use this, but we will calculate differently. So here let's you create one value with the name difference in months, and again calculate this from instant, and this time we will use this function until. So this until function will give us the values in total. So it will not consider the years, it will simply calculate the difference of these two time values in months. And this needs first the other time instant, so we can use to instant. And this also needs the date time unit in which it needs to calculate the value, and we need the value in months. So let's use this date time unit dot months. Now it will calculate the value in months and also provide the time zone. And this is how we will calculate the value in months. And this will give the value in the long, but we need the integer value, so we can simply use this toInt function. And in the similar way, let's calculate the other values. We also need to specify the unit. So this value needs to be calculated in weeks, and this in days, and this one in hours, this one in minutes, and this one in seconds. And this is how it will calculate us the values. So we can simply provide these values here. Now we need to provide these values to our screen. So go to the calculator screen. Here we have this statistics section, but before that we need to import the go to the statistics section, and we have this statistics card here. Instead of providing this hard-coded value, simply use this state.ageStats and run our app. And initially the values are 0. Let's select 3 days back. And here we have the 3 days and the different statistics. And if we select some year back, and here we have all the statistics. Next thing, we will add the local database. This is because right now if we close the app and open it again, and you see that the selected date has been disappeared. So the view model can only keep the value as long as the app is running. As soon as we close the app and restart it, all the saved states have been cleared out. So that's why we need a local database so that users can also save the dates for later use. But before that, let's also add one more thing. Here, if we right now type anything in this text box, it won't do anything. That's because we are just providing the dummy values to this text field. So for this, we need to go to the calculator screen. But first, let's go to this calculator UI state and create one state with the name title. This will be of type string, and by default let's keep the title birthday, and this title state let's keep in our screen, and we have this text field here. So instead of this blank string, let's attach the title. So whatever will be the value of this title, this text field will show that value. And how user will update the value? We will get the new text value what user is typing through that keyboard with the help of this on value change. Here we can see we are getting the string, and that new text we will update to this title. So for that again we need to go to the calculator action class and create one more action with the name set title. This will give us the new title of type string. And in our calculator screen, let's just attach this on action dot set title, and we can pass the string whatever we are getting through this keyboard. And this thing, we have this on action function. In the last, press alt enter, add remaining branches, and we simply need to update the state of that title to whatever title we are getting through this section. And this is how our text field will work. Again run the app, and by default it has this birthday text, but we can also change this, something like graduation. And this is how we can update our text field. So next we will add the local database using room. First close all these files. So like we have seen, in our app, users can save important dates like birthdays or anniversaries. So how do we make sure that data doesn't disappear when the user closes the app or restart their phone? To solve that, we need a way to store data permanently inside the app, and that's where a database comes in. A database is like a notebook where your app can write, read, update, or delete information. But Android doesn't just let us write anywhere. Android gives us a few official tools to store data, and one of the best option is called Room Database. Room is built on top of SQLite, a powerful local database system. But instead of writing complicated SQL queries, Room lets us use Kotlin classes and simple functions, much easier for developers. And just like any SQL database, the data in Room is stored in tables. So let's implement the local database. In our base package, create one more package with the name data. And in this data package, create one package with the name local and a file with the name occasion entity. And first thing, we need to define an entity, and here let's use the data class occasion entity and rename it with single s. So this is a data class that will define what we want to save in the table. So in our table, we want to save the fields like title of type string, and then a date millis of type nullable long, and the emoji of type string. So in our local database, there will be a table, and in that table there will be 3 columns with the name title, date millis, and emoji. And here we have one annotation with the name entity. And this entity annotation coming from this room library. And in this entity annotation, we can define the table name. So we are going to call these data as the occasion. So let's name the table as occasions. And one more thing we always need to keep is one field with the name ID. So the SQL database can distinguish between different entries within a table. So here let's keep one field with the name ID of type integer, and let's also annotate this with primary key annotation. So room should know that this field will act as the primary key. So room will use this ID field to distinguish between different entries within this table, and we are not going to provide this ID. So let's make this auto generate to true. So whenever a new entry will be created, it will generate one ID for that entry. Next, we need to talk to the database. For that, we have one special class with the name DAO, Data Access Object. So here, let's create one more file with the name occasion DAO. And this is an interface where we define what actions we want to perform on the data. Again, rename this to with single s. So here first thing, let's define one function with the name absurd occasion. This absurd word is the blend of two words, insert and update. So with this single function we will achieve both the things, updating and inserting the occasion. And we will provide the occasion of type occasion entity, and create another function with the name delete occasion. And to this function we will provide the occasion ID of type integer. And next will be function get all occasions, and this will return us the flow of list of occasion entity. And another function will be a suspend function get occasion by id. We will provide the occasion id, and it will give us the nullable occasion entity. Here for some function I have used this suspend modifier, and for one function I have used this flow return. So why this is so, I will explain you later. For now, these will be our 4 functions that will talk to the database. So here first thing we need to define to the room that this is our DAO. So let's annotate this with DAO annotation. So now room knows that it needs to look into this interface for all the functions. Next thing, we need to define which function will perform what action. So here we have some special annotations like insert, update, delete. So we don't need to provide any query, we just annotate this annotation. But if we want, we can also provide the SQL query itself. So here for this upsert occasion, we have this special annotation with the name upsert. So this upsert annotation will insert its parameter into the database if it is not exist, and if it is already exist, it will update its parameter. So with this annotation we can do both the things, update and insert. For delete operation we also have one specific annotation, this delete annotation, but here this delete annotation needs the whole object occasion, but we will only provide the occasion ID. So let's write our custom query. So the SQL query will be delete from, and we need to delete from our occasions table, and let's filter that where id equals to the occasion id we will provide. And this is how we write the SQL queries. Next, let's write the query for getting all the occasions. And here let's write select everything from occasions table, order by date millis field, and let's write this descending. So the latest date occasion should come first. Next query will be select everything from occasions where ID match to the occasion ID we will provide. And with the help of these annotations, we have specified what function will perform which operation. Now next we need to define the database class where we can specify what are the entity and DAOs we have in our database. So here create the occasion database class. And first thing we need to extend this to room database class. So room should know that this is our database class, and also annotate this with database annotation. And here we need to specify the entities what we have, and right now we just have single entity in our database, and the version will be 1, and export schema false. We don't need to export the schema anywhere else. And we need to make this class as abstract since this room database class is an abstract one. And here we can also specify the DAO we have. Now next thing, we need to access these DAO functions in our calculator view model. So here we will access this DAO with the help of this database class. So here we need to create one object of the database so we can access this DAO. So here let's create one companion object, and we will define our object and use this private val, and we will create the instance of our occasion database, and by default keep the null value, and also annotate this with volatile, and we need to make this as var, and here create the function database, and this function will return us the occasion database object, and use this return keyword and use our instance and use this synchronized this and create the instance here, and we will use the room class, and here we have the database builder, and this database builder needs the three things: the context, class, and the name. Context we will provide through the parameter, and this class will be our occasion database, and the name of our database will be occasion database. And on this database builder we can use this build function, and we can provide this instance to it and also return this instance. And this is how the object will be created of this room database. Now we can use our occasion DAO in the calculator view model. So here let's create the private val occasion DAO. This will be of type occasion DAO. And how we will get this? We will use our occasion database, and we have this function get database. And this get database function needs the context. So here in our view model we don't have the context, but if we use another type of view model, this Android view model, we can get the context, and we will get the application, and from this application we can get the context, and then we can access our occasion DAO. So here first we get the object of our database, and from that object we have the occasion DAO in our database. Now we have the occasion DAO, so here we can save the data into the local database directly. So go to our calculator screen, and in the top app bar here we have this on save click. So when user will click this icon, we need to save the occasion. Go to the calculator action and create one more action with the name save occasion. And in our screen, first let's attach it here. And in our view model, we have this when block, and in the last press Alt Enter at remaining branches. And here let's create one function to save the occasion. Private function with the name save occasion. So here first let's create an occasion entity, and we need to provide the date millis, and we can get the date millis from our state. So let's use our UI state dot value dot from date millis. We are only going to save the from date millis into our local database, and then the emoji whatever we have in our state, and the title again from the state. And we also need to provide the ID, and let's use the ID 0. So when we are providing this 0 ID, so room database will not consider this ID. It will generate a new ID to this occasion. So here we can call our occasion DAO, and we have this function absurd occasion, and let's provide the occasion. So this absurd function is a suspend function. So here we can use the ViewModel scope dot launch. So if our ViewModel is active, then this function can be executed, and we can use this save occasion function here. So here we have one function that will save the occasion into the database. Next thing, let's create one more function that will get us the saved occasion. So here create one more function with the name get occasion. And again let's use the ViewModel scope dot launch and call our occasion DAO dot get occasion by ID, and here we need to provide the occasion ID. So here for now what we can do, instead of providing the 0 value, let's just provide the 1 value to this ID. So we can also get this ID here 1, and then if we get the occasion, then we will update our states, and we need to update the state. So let's use this it.copy, and first we will update the from date millis from our occasion. Next, whatever emoji is saved, we will get from the database. Same with title. And this is how we will get the occasion from the local database in our view model. And for calling this occasion function, we don't have any specific button. So here what we can do, we can use this init block and call this get occasion function. So as soon as our view model will be created, this get occasion function will be called by itself. Now let's run our, and here is our app. First let's select some date, 1 month back. Now let's also update this title to graduation, and this emoji to this hat, and save this. We will also add a toast when user will click this save button. So let's see if there is any data in our local database. So go to this more tools, and we have this app inspection, and select the process, and here we have the database inspector, and we can see we have one table with the name occasion, and in this table we have all these entries. First we have the ID which we saved 1, and the title graduation, and same the date millis, and then the that particular emoji we saved. So here you can also see your local database visually. Now let's check one thing. If we close this app and reopen it again. So here you see that we have not got the default values but all those values which we saved. But here one more thing we also need to consider, that when we restarted the app, these all values have been updated but not these statistics. So we can correct this thing simply by calling that calculate stats function after updating our states. Here calculate stats. So whenever it will get the occasion from the local database, then also it will call this calculate stats function, which will calculate these values and update the state accordingly. And we can also try to run this app again. Now you see we are getting the saved values and also the statistics according to these values. Now next thing, right now we are accessing our DAO directly in our view model, but this is not a best practice. So now we will see how we can add a repository layer into our app and follow the clean architecture principle. First let's close all these steps. So let's add a repository. In our base package, create one more package with the name domain, and here one package with the name repository, and here create one interface with the name occasion repository. So in this occasion repository, we are going to keep all the functions we have in our DAO. So go to the occasion DAO and copy these functions and use it here. But we are not going to use any annotation. And next thing, here we will not use the occasion entity, but we will create a separate data class for our repository. So here in our domain package, create one package with the name model, and here create one data class with the name occasion. And in this occasion data class, we are going to keep all these fields, but we will not use any annotation. So here we have one data model and a repository interface. So this repository layer will act as the middleman between the data source and the view model. So now the view model will not directly interact with the data source but from the repository, and then repository will interact with the data source whether we are saving or retrieving the data locally or remotely. So let's also update this to occasion class and also here. So now you see in our repository interface, we don't have any mention of the data source, whether the data source is room database or the remote data source. Now our repository interface is plain, and here on our occasion data class we can also see it doesn't have any reference of any data source. Now this repository will interact with the view model. So go to the calculator view model, because our view model should not care whether you are getting the data from the local database or from the remote server. And we will provide the object of occasion repository to this view model through the constructor. And now instead of this occasion DAO, we can simply call our repository, and here we will use the occasion, and same here. Now you see we are not interacting with our data source but from the repository. Now this repository will interact to the data source. So in our data layer, create one more package with the name repository. And here we have just defined the functions. Now we need to implement these functions. So here let's create one class with the name occasion repository implementation, and this will extend to the occasion repository, and press Ctrl I, enter. Now here we will provide the DAO through the constructor. So here to this upsert occasion function, we can simply call our occasion DAO and call this upsert occasion and provide this occasion, and we can simply call this DAO. But here we have one issue. This upsert occasion function needs the occasion entity, but in our function we are providing the occasion. That's because in our domain layer we are using this occasion, but in our local database we have this occasion entity. So we just need to create one function that will map these values to its entity, and one function that will map the entity's values to the occasion, and those functions are called mapper functions. So here in our data package, create one more package with the name mapper and create the occasion mapper. And first function let's create on the occasion entity, and this function will map the values of occasion entity to the domain model, and let's name it to domain, and it will give us the occasion. And here we just need to simply map these values to their respective values, and create one more function that will map the occasion to the occasion entity, and let's name it to entity. And here one more thing we need to update, go to this occasion data class, and we need to make this id field as the nullable. So for the new occasion we can provide the null value because room will generate the id automatically. So here it will give error, so we will simply say if the id we are getting is null, then use this 0. So with this 0, room will generate the next id automatically, and we can use this function here to entity. And same let's do here, delete occasion, and first let's pass this DAO dot get occasion by id, provide the occasion id and use this return keyword, and this will give us the occasion entity. So convert it into domain object, put a null check. And to this function we can call our DAO dot get all occasions and use this return keyword. So this function will return us the flow of list of occasions. So here we will use the map, and this will give us the occasions. This will give us the list of occasion entity. So here let's use occasion entities, and these occasion entities we can map each values to the domain object. And here we have the repository implementation. And here one more thing, let's see that in our calculator view model, earlier we were creating the object within the class itself, but now we are providing the object through the constructor. So this is a best practice, we should provide the object through the constructor. So suppose if we swap this occasion repository in the future, then our view model class will not be affected. We can simply provide the different implementation of that interface outside this view model. So now we can delete this, and now we can change it to view model simply. We don't need this application. Now our next job is to provide the object to these classes. Like here we need to provide the repository, and to our repository implementation we need to provide the DAO object. So here we have two options, either we can provide these objects manually, or we have one library with the name Koin. So that Koin library will make things so much easy in providing objects of one class to another, and we are going to use that Koin library. So in our base package, create one package with the name di, and in this di, create a file with the name app module, and here use this app module and use this module. So this module is just a container where Koin will look to how it needs to create the objects of different classes. And first thing, let's define how it needs to create the object of this DAO. So for that, first thing, go to the data package local occasion database. And here we have this companion object within this database class. So let's fetch the code from here and use this in a separate file with the name database factory and paste that code here. So this code we were using for creating the database object, so we will use this code again. But now this object is not within any class, so let's remove this companion modifier and we need to define the name. So let's define the database factory, and here we can remove this instance because now Koin will handle in creating a single instance throughout the application, and put this code outside the block, and here simply use the return keyword, and with this code we can create the object of this occasion database. So in our app module, let's define first thing to the Koin, and here use this single block. So a single object should be created only, and we will create the object of occasion database. And for that we will take the help of database factory dot get database, or we can simply rename it to create. And we need to provide the context. So this context will be provided by the Koin. So here we simply need to use the get function. And how the Koin will get the context? So here in our base package or in our presentation package, create one file with the name main application, and this will be an application class. So let's extend this to application, and here use this on create function. So here we will say as soon as our application creates, we need to start our Koin. And in this Koin, first thing we can attach to the Android logger, so it can also log the details related to Koin, and also we can provide the context. So if anywhere the Koin library needs the context, they can get from this application class. So let's specify this, and also let's specify the modules where it needs to create the object. So we have this app module. If we press Ctrl B, and here we have the app module, and this is how the Koin library will get the context, and it can provide to this create function. And since we have this application class, we also need to register it in our Android manifest file, that we have one application class in our presentation main application. And next thing, we need to provide the object of DAO. So let's also define it here. So let's use this single block, and this time we will provide the occasion DAO object. So first we need to get the occasion database object, and occasion database object it can already create with the help of this line of code. And in our occasion database we have our occasion DAO, and this is how it will get the occasion DAO object to this repository implementation. Next thing, in our calculator view model we are using the repository interface. But we also have a repository implementation. So let's also define this and say it's single of, use this occasion repository implementation. Use two colons and it needs to bind this implementation to its interface. Occasion repository interface. So we just need to bind our repository and its implementation like this, and the Koin will automatically get the DAO object. Next thing, in our calculator view model, we are also passing the repository interface, but we have defined already how it needs to attach the implementation to it. But one thing we need to modify is go to the main activity, and here instead of simple view model, we will create the view model with the help of Koin view model. And also in our app module, let's define that we have one view model it needs to take care of with the name calculator view model. Now you see how simple it is to create the object and providing two different classes, and this is called dependency injection. So Koin is a lightweight dependency injection framework for Kotlin apps. It helps you manage and provide dependencies, meaning objects, in your app without needing complex configurations. Now let's run our app. And here is our, now you will see there won't be any change in the functionality. Only the difference is now our code is structured and manageable. Close all these tabs and put this main activity inside this presentation package. Now let's also have a brief on clean architecture. Clean architecture is a software design philosophy that aims to create scalable, maintainable and testable code. It separates an application code into distinct layers, each with a specific responsibility, making the code easier to understand, maintain and test. We divide our whole code base into three layers in clean architecture. Presentation layer, it handles the UI and user interface. Domain layer, it has the responsibility of containing the business logic and rules. It is the core part of the application and is independent of any other layer. Then we have the data layer. It manages data sources and handles data operations. It implements repository interfaces defined in the domain layer. We can also see we have divided our whole application into three layers: data, domain, presentation. Now next thing, we will add our first screen so we can show the multiple occasions there. Now before starting designing our second screen, let's add a custom theme to our app. So here on the Google, search Material Theme Builder and this first page. And here we can build our material theme. And first thing, we can select the source color through which color our whole theme will be generated. So let's choose this blue one, or you can select your own color from this source color here. And this is how all of the components will look in this theme. Next, click on this pick your font, and here we can select the font we want in our app, and I will use this Ubuntu, and you can select your own favorite. Now next, click on this export theme, and we have this export button and this Jetpack Compose theme.kt file, and a zip file will be downloaded. So open it. And here first thing, go to the resource package and the values, and here we have one XML file. Copy it, and in our resource package we have this values folder. So paste this file here. And here we have this font certificate file which will help us in getting that font. So close it. Next thing, go back and go to this UI and copy this whole theme package. And in our presentation package, let's paste that. And here in our theme package, which we pasted, first we have this colors file, then this theme.kt file and this typography file. First thing, let's update the package and import this R. This will be our own package. And this is how the font will be applied to all those 15 different types of typography. And next thing, close it. And we have this theme file. And first update this package. And here first thing we have this light scheme. So these are the colors that will be applied on the light theme. So here we are just giving the reference of these colors. If you press Ctrl B, and here we have the colors file. And here we are specifying all the colors. So first thing, let's update the package and go back to our theme file. And here next we have this dark scheme. These colors will be applied on the dark theme. And then we have this medium contrast color, but we are not going to use these. So just delete these from here. So now we just have the dark theme and the light scheme color. And next we have this one composable with the name app theme, but we need to update this with our age calculator theme name. And here we are checking with this function that whether the phone is in the light mode or the dark mode. If the phone is in the dark mode, then the dark color scheme will be applied, otherwise the light color scheme. Here we are also putting one check of dynamic colors. If the Android version is 12 or greater than that, then the color scheme will be generated through the phone's wallpaper. And after that we are specifying the color scheme app typography. And then go to the color file, and here also let's delete those unused colors. So now we just have colors for light scheme and dark scheme. One more thing we need to update is in the last, let's also copy those two colors. Here we have one more package with the name UI theme. So this theme package comes with the new project. So we are applying the custom theme. So let's delete these files. But before that, let's copy these two colors and use it in our custom theme file. So now we can delete this UI theme package which come with the new project. And in our main activity, we can import this theme function from our presentation theme. Let's run our app and see how our app is looking. And here in our calculator screen, we got some errors. So just delete these imports and re-import these. And run our app again. And here is our app in the dark mode. And if I turn off the dark mode, and this is how it will look on the light mode. Now next, let's update one more thing. In our calculator screen, scroll up, first minimize these imports. And here we see that we are giving these paddings as the hard-coded DP value everywhere. So here we should also provide the padding values, like we are providing the color and the typography. Like here we are providing the typography by giving the reference from our material theme. And in the same way, go to this component. Here we are providing the typography to this emoji. So here in our theme package, let's also create one file with the name spacing. And here first let's create the data class with the name spacing. So let's specify all the spacing we can have in our app. First with the name tiny, this will be of type dp, and by default we will keep the value 2 dp. And then with the name extra small, this will be 4 dp, then small 8 dp, and then medium 16 dp, and then large, this will be 32 dp. So these are in the multiple of 2. And here let's create one value with the name local spacing. And here we will use one function composition local of, and keep our spacing class here with default values. And also create one value on this material theme class with the name spacing. So we can access this spacing on this material theme. This will be of type spacing. And we will get this value from our local spacing dot current. And we need to annotate this value with this composable annotation, because this material theme is a composable function. And let's also annotate with a read only composable. And go to the theme file, and here we have our theme. So here just let's wrap this function. So let's use this composable local provider, and the value will be local spacing provides spacing, and we can put this material theme inside it. Now with this code we can provide the reference to those spacing. So here let's scroll down in our calculator screen. First we have this header section. So here we are giving the padding 8 dp. So let's use the material theme spacing dot small, and this small has the 8 dp padding, we can see. And in the similar way, let's copy it, and this time we need to provide the medium for 16 dp. And scroll down, and here we have one spacer with 16 dp height. So let's also provide medium, and here again medium, and this time small. And here let's provide medium. Now go to the component and check all of our composables. Here we don't have any. Here we can provide extra small. This extra small has 4 dp padding. And then stylized card. Here we can provide this space by small, and here medium. Then stylized age text, and here we don't need to provide anything. So this is how we can simply give the reference from our spacing class. And if in future we want to change the spacing, we can simply do so by simply updating these values. Now we will add our first screen of the app, dashboard screen. So here first we will design our dashboard screen, and let's design our top app bar first. So in the presentation package, create one package with the name dashboard, and here a file with the name dashboard screen, and a composable function with the same name. So we need a top up bar. So let's just copy the code from our calculator screen. Scroll down and here we have the calculator top up bar. So copy the code of this and in our dashboard screen let's paste that and rename it to dashboard top bar. And we don't need icon at the start, so let's delete this navigation icon and we need only one icon, so let's put this outside this if block and delete these two things and use the add icon here and rename this to on add icon click and the title will be dashboard and remove these extra parameters. So here we have the top up bar. So now we can use a column layout here with fill max size modifier and then let's use our dashboard top bar and minimize these imports and create a preview function for our screen and use our dashboard screen and open the preview window. And here we have the dashboard screen. Let's also use the show background true. Now next thing we will design a single card for the occasion and then we can reuse that card with different information. So here after our top app bar let's create one more composable function with the name occasion card and make this function private. And here let's use one card. So in this card first we need a row so we can place these emoji and these two text in a single column and then that calendar icon. So here let's use one row layout and first we need the emoji. So for that let's use a text composable and we will provide the occasion information with the help of occasion data class and the emoji we can get from our occasion.emoji. And then we need a column layout so we can place those two text. So let's copy it and first use the text for title and then the text for date and we need to convert into string. And in the last we need one icon, so let's just copy this icon button and this will be the icon of that calendar. So we have the icon with the name date range. For this on click let's create here on calendar icon click and attach it here. And then after this row we need to keep this stylized text and then one icon on the right side. So that stylized text we can copy from our calculator screen. This one. And for now just provide some dummy values. And then let's use one icon button for that arrow. So that arrow we can get from the automirrored dot field dot arrow forward. And attach this modifier to this card. Now let's use our occasion card after this top up bar. So here let's use the lazy column. So to this lazy column we will provide the list of occasions. So for now let's just create a dummy list of occasions. So here create the dummy occasions and this will be a list of, let's take 20 items of our occasion. So occasion let's use ID 1, title, birthday, date 0, emoji let's get from our calculator UI state. We have this. Now to this lazy column, we will provide the items of type list. And let's provide the dummy occasions, and it will give us the single occasion. And for every single occasion, we will use the occasion card. Our preview function giving error, so now open the preview. And here we have the cards. So let's modify these. First thing, these cards should take fill max width. So in our dashboard screen, we are using this lazy column. So here, let's use the modifier on this occasion card with fill max width modifier. Next thing, there should be some spacing all around these cards. So here on this lazy column, we have one parameter with the name content padding. So let's provide the padding values. And padding values, we are not just going to give direct values, but we will give the reference from our spacing class. So let's use the material theme spacing, and we need 16 dp spacing. Now next we need some spacing in between these cards. So here we have one parameter with the name vertical arrangement. So let's use this arrangement dot space by, and let's use the 16 dp spacing. And here we have some spacing. Let's also use fill max size modifier to this column. Now next, go to this occasion card, and here in our card first we have this row. So this row should also take up the fill max width. So here first thing, let's define the modifier fill max width to this row. So here nothing has changed. That's because all these things are aligned to the start. So here we need this icon at the end of that card. So here we can use spacer with weight 1. So that spacer will take up the maximum available width. Now next we need this emoji little bit bigger. So let's use the font size 30 sp. For font we use the sp unit. And then let's also make our title bigger with font size 18 sp and make this bold. So let's use font weight bold. Next, this date millis should not be shown as the milliseconds value, but should be shown as the date string. So here instead of simply using this toString function, let's use our extension function to formatted date string. And here we have a particular date, and here since I use the 0 value, so it has taken the date of January 1, 1970, from where the millisecond start counting. So we need some spacing to the top of this row and at the start of this row. So here let's also provide padding, and we need the padding to the start. So let's use the material theme dot spacing dot small, and also we need the padding to the top, and the top padding should be medium. And next, these date should be little bit lighter in color. So here we can simply use the color gray. So let's use this color dot gray. And here we have the top row. Now next, let's modify this stylized age text. So here also let's give the padding. So let's use this modifier to this also. And then we have this icon button, but we need the filled icon button. So let's use this filled icon button. and let's modify few things. Like first let's give some padding of material theme dot spacing dot small, and then let's align this to the end. So let's use this align modifier with alignment dot end, and then let's give some smaller size, something like 25 dp. And right now it's using the primary color, so let's also modify that color. So we have this color and icon button defaults, and use this filled icon colors, and we need to update the container color, and let's give the reference of the color. So let's use this material theme dot color scheme dot surface, and let's also use the content color on surface, whatever is suitable for the on surface. And one more thing, let's also give padding to all around this icon. So here let's use the padding extra small, and this is how our field icon will look. And one more thing, this card will be clickable, so here let's use one on click and use a clickable modifier with on click. And when user will click on this field icon button, then also we need to trigger that on click. So here instead of this on calendar icon click, let's use on click. Now we are using our occasion card in our dashboard screen. So let's also see how it's looking on the landscape mode. So let's use preview annotation, preview screen sizes, and open this preview window. And here if we have the preview and scroll down on our phone portrait mode, this is how it will look. And on the landscape mode, there is only one card in a single line, but we don't have enough information to display in this area. So here we can keep two cards in a single line on the landscape mode and one card on the portrait mode. So here instead of using this lazy column, let's use the lazy grid. So let's use the lazy vertical grid. And to this lazy vertical grid, we need to provide one compulsory parameter, will be the column. So the columns will be adaptive. Here use this grid cell dot adaptive and use this minimum size 400 dp. So here we are specifying that we need minimum 400 dp of a single card. If there is enough space, then you can place two cards. So here we need to use the items block for our lazy grid. Now we have these cards, and here we can see on the landscape mode we have two cards, but there is no gap horizontally. So here we can also use horizontal arrangement, and let's use this. And here we have enough spacing in between these cards, and this is all for our dashboard screen. Now let's also run our screen on the app. So in the main activity, instead of this calculator screen, let's use our dashboard screen and use this modifier and run our app. And here we have the dashboard screen, and if we rotate this screen, and here we have two cards in a single line. Now here you notice one thing, whenever we want to see the screen in our app, we need to call that screen in our main activity. So now we have two screens on our app. So if we want to see that screen, we just need to call that screen in our main activity. But here we need some way so we can run our both screen at the same time. So here comes the role of navigation. When you have more than one screen on your app, you need to define how user will navigate from one screen to another. So now we will add the navigation with the help of Compose navigation library. So first thing, in our presentation package, let's create one more package with the name navigation. And first thing, we need to define a route for all of our screens. So here create one file with the name route. And these routes we will keep in a sealed interface with the name route. And we have two screens, so let's define two route. First, let's use for dashboard screen of type route. And next we will have this calculator screen. Here this calculator screen will also need one navigation argument. This is because whenever user will navigate from dashboard screen to the calculator screen, we also need to pass the ID on which user has clicked. So we can fetch the correct occasion in our calculator screen. So this calculator screen will need the ID of nullable integer. So here we cannot use data object, so let's use data class. And next thing, we need to annotate all these with the serializable annotation from this Kotlinx serialization. Copy it and use it here and here also. We are using this serializable annotation because under the hood this compose navigation library use this serialization library in parsing these navigation argument. So we just need to annotate with serializable annotation and all the things will be done by the compose navigation. And in our navigation package create one more file with the name navgraph and create a composable function with the same name. Here in this nav graph, we will define what's the route and what's the relevant screen of that route. So here let's use the nav host and we need to define the start destination. So here we need to define the route from where the app will start running. So our app will start running from our dashboard screen. Next thing, we need to define the nav controller. So this nav controller will help us in navigating between screen. Let's create this nav controller here with the help of remember nav controller and provide it here and also attach this modifier to it. So here we have two screens. So first let's define a composable block with first screen will be our dashboard screen and the relevant route of that dashboard screen is the route.dashboard screen. And similarly we have another screen calculator screen and the screen composable we have with the name calculator screen. So here to our calculator screen we need to provide those things. So let's go to the main activity and copy from here, or we can simply copy all the code. Now we can use our nav graph in our main activity. And this modifier, let's use this modifier dot padding and provide these inner paddings. So now we have this nav graph and here we have defined that we have these two screens and we have these two routes relevant to these screens. Now next we need to define how user will navigate from one screen to the another screen. So first go to the dashboard screen and we can remove this modifier, we don't need. And here we have one on add icon click and also this on click on this occasion card. So whenever user will click either on this add icon or on this occasion card, we need to navigate the user to the calculator screen. So here let's create one parameter with the name navigate to calculator screen. And here with this we will also provide the ID of type nullable integer. So when user will click this on add icon, we will call our navigate to calculator screen with ID null, because we need to create a new occasion when user will click this add icon. When user will click this occasion card, then we need to pass the occasion ID, so we can fetch the correct occasion. And our preview function giving error, so just use the blank values and go back to our nav graph. And here let's use this navigate to calculator screen, and we will get the occasion ID. And here we need to navigate to the next screen, so let's use our nav controller. We have this function navigate, and we need to provide the route, so let's use this route dot calculator screen and also provide the occasion ID. And this is how the user will navigate to that calculator screen. And now we need to define that how user will navigate back to the dashboard screen from this calculator screen. So go to this calculator screen, and here on our top app bar we have one click on back click. So let's create one parameter with the name navigate up. So when user will click this back button, we will simply navigate up. And our preview function giving error, so just provide the blank values and go to the nav graph. And here let's define that we need to navigate to the previous screen. So here we can do two things. Either we can say that we need to navigate to this dashboard screen, or we can simply use this nav controller dot navigate up. So this navigate up function will take back us to the screen from where we have come. So to this calculator screen we have come from this dashboard screen. So this navigate up function will navigate back us to the dashboard screen. Now let's run our app. And here we have our app. So if we click on this add icon, then it will navigate us to the calculator screen, and when we press this back button, it will navigate back us to the dashboard screen. Same if we click on this cards, and if we click on this back icon, and this is how the navigation will work. Now here we need to correct one more thing. Here you see the top app bar, we have so much spacing in the top. That's because we are using this top app bar inside a column in both of our screen. But this top app bar is supposed to be used in that scaffold. So here we also have one parameter with the name top app bar. So the reason we are using the top app bar inside our screen is because we have different top app bar in our different screens. But by default the padding of these top app bar is set to be used inside the scaffold. So here we just make this window and set to 0. So now there won't be any extra spacing. So let's copy it and also use in our calculator screen. Here, and in our main activity let's remove this and run our app again. Now we don't have any extra spacing to our top app bar, and here also. Now next we are using this occasion card with the dummy data. So here we will get all these cards which are saved in our local database. So first let's close all these tabs and go to our dashboard screen and create one more class with the name dashboard ViewModel. and this will be our view model. So let's extend this with our view model. In our dashboard screen, we are providing these dummy occasions, but this list of occasions is a state, because every time a new occasion will be added or deleted, this list will change. So here in our dashboard package, create one more class with the name dashboard UI state and keep our occasions list, and by default keep this empty list, and we will provide this state class in our screen, and we can get these occasions, not this dummy list but the occasion list from our state. And let's use these dummy occasions in our preview function here. So we need to provide the state also. So let's use the dashboard UI state with these dummy occasions like this. So next thing, in our view model, we will hold these states. So go to the calculator view model, and like we are holding these, so let's copy it and use it here. But for our dashboard view model, we will keep the dashboard UI state and also use this here, optimize the imports. Now next thing, we will get all those saved occasion from the local database, and we already have one function in our occasion repository. We will use this function for getting all the saved occasions. So in our view model, let's use the repository, this occasion repository. So let's use the occasions and use this repository get all occasions. So here you see right now we have the flow of list of occasions. So here let's use one function stateIn to convert this flow into state flow, and we need to provide the scope. Let's use ViewModel scope, and then the started strategy, this sharing started dot while subscribed, and provide the 5 seconds, and then we need to provide the initial value, and initially let's keep the empty list. So now we have this occasions of type state flow. So now we can use these occasions in our screen, and here you see we also have our UI state of state flow, and we can also use our UI state in our screen. So here instead of providing these UI state and occasions separately, we can also combine these two state flows. So we will simply provide UI state to our screen. So here instead of this we can simply use combine function, and let's combine those flows. So first we have flow from our UI state, next flow we have from our repository dot get all occasion, and these two things will give us the state and the occasion, and simply we will take these occasions and update to our state and make this occasions. Now again we need to convert this flow into state flow, so let's simply use this stateIn operator, and initially we will keep our dashboard UI state. So now we have only single state flow, so let's provide this in our screen, and we are using our screen in the nav graph. So here we need to provide the state, and first the view model of type dashboard view model. So here the object of this view model will be provided by the Koin, like it is providing here. So we can simply use the Koin view model, but we need to do one extra thing. We also need to define that we have one dashboard view model. It needs to create the object of. So go to the DI app module. like we are specifying the calculator view model, let's also specify the dashboard view model, and that is all. Close it, and now we can get the view model. Next, let's get the state by ViewModel dot UI state dot collect as state with lifecycle, and we can provide this state. Now run our app. We only have one saved data, so that's why we are getting only one occasion card. Next thing, this age states, we are getting the dummy values. So here let's also update this at the real time. So go to our dashboard screen and scroll down, and here we have this stylized age text, and we are providing these dummy values. So let's create one extension function that will calculate the period from the saved date, and that function will be quite similar to the one we are using in our calculator view model. So here let's copy this part and go to our util package and DateTime utils and paste it here, and this will be a function on the nullable long type, and let's name it period until, and this function will return us the date time period, and delete these two, and we are only concerned with this, and here from instant we will get from this keyword wherever we will use the function on, and this can be null, so let's use the system.currentTime and this to instant we will use whatever the current time we have. Here we can get first the millis and then we can convert that to instant, or simply we can get the instant directly from this clock, from this Kotlinx DateTime clock.system.now. So this will give us the instant. With this information we can get the period. So go to our dashboard screen, and here we already have the occasion. So from this occasion let's get the occasion dot date millis dot period until function, and this will give us the date time period. So here we can get the years, and in the similar way let's copy it and use it here. This time we need the months, and here we need the days, and this is how we can get these stats. Let's keep this occasion dot date millis in a value date millis, and we can use first here and next here. Now it's more cleaner, and run our app. Now it's showing the correct stats. Since the save date is June 1, we have 4 days. Now next let's add our date picker. So when user will click on this date icon, so a date picker should open. So here in our dashboard screen, first close these and go to the calculator screen, and we already have the code of that date picker here. Copy it, and in our dashboard screen let's use it. And we also need to keep this state in our state class, so let's create one more state here. State picker dialog open. This will be of type boolean. By default we will keep the false value. Now it can use this value. Next let's create these actions in our action class. So here we don't have any action class, so let's create dashboard action. This will be a sealed interface, and first we need dismiss date picker, data object dismiss date picker of dashboard action. Next will be show date picker. Next will be date selected, and this will also give us the date millis of type nullable long. and we need to keep this as data class. And in our dashboard screen we can provide these on action with dashboard action unit. Now instead of this calculator action, let's use the dashboard action and copy it and also use it here. And we also need to attach this to our calendar icon on action dashboard action dot show date picker. And for our preview function we can provide blank values. Now go to our view model and create one on action function. We will provide the action of type dashboard action. Use this when block on this action and press Alt Enter at remaining branches. And on this show date picker we will simply update our state. So use this UI state dot update it dot copy state picker open to true and copy it, and on this dismiss we will update this value back to false. And in our date selected we need to update the value back to false. And here we also need to do one thing. We need to update the occasion from the local database. So here let's create one function with the name update occasion. And to this function we will provide the date millis and use this ViewModel scope dot launch. And here we have this repository dot upsert occasion function, and this function needs the occasion. So here we only have a list of occasions in our state class. So how we will get on which occasion user has clicked? So we only need to update that particular occasion. So for that, let's also keep one more state in our state class with the name selected occasion of type occasion, and by default we will keep the null value. So go to this dashboard action class, and here when user will show the date picker we also need to pass the occasion on which user has clicked. So here we will also pass the occasion and make this as data class. So go to our dashboard screen, and here in our lazy vertical grid we have this action, and we also need to pass the occasion on which user has clicked. So pass this particular occasion and go to our view model and put this is because it's now a data class, and also update our selected occasion state to the occasion whatever we are getting through this section. So here now in our update occasion function we can get our selected occasion from our state, and then let's put a null check. If this is not null, then we will take that occasion, then we will update the date millis values to whatever date millis we are getting to the updated date millis values, and keep this in a updated occasion and call our upsert function with this updated occasion. And this is how this update function will be called, and simply call this function update occasion and also pass the date millis whatever we are getting through this section. Now run our app again, and to our nav graph we need to provide the on action. So let's attach this from our view model and run it again. Now here is our app. Click on this calendar icon, and here we have a calendar. So let's select the previous month. Now you see we are getting the value at the real time, and also it has updated the occasion in our local database. We can also check it. Go to our occasion table, and here we have the updated values. Now select any previous years, and we are getting the age stats. Now next thing in our app, when we click on this add icon, then we should get the default values. And when we click on this card, then we should fetch that particular card information. So here, go to this navigation nav graph. And when we are navigating from dashboard screen to this calculator screen, we are also passing the occasion ID here. So this occasion ID we will get in the view model. So go to the calculator view model and scroll up, and here let's use one class saved state handle. So here let's use this occasion ID, and we will use this saved state handle, and we have one function to route, and which route has this ID? Route dot calculator screen ID. And now we have the ID which we are getting through this dashboard screen, and this is of type nullable integer. Now we can use this ID to get the occasion. Go to this function. So instead of providing this dummy one value, let's provide the occasion ID. And this occasion ID can be null. So here let's put a if block. If occasion ID equals to null, then we will return from this function. No need to perform any of these code. And if we have the valid ID, then we can get the particular occasion. Next thing, when we are saving the occasion, so here we can use the occasion ID which we have. In case of new occasion, this occasion ID will be null. So here we will provide the null occasion ID, and in that case a new occasion will be created. But if we have the existing ID, then it will update the existing occasion. Now let's run our app. So here, if we click on this add icon, a new occasion information or calculator screen has the default values, and here we can provide the occasion. So let's use this birthday and provide it to something back, something like 2001, and this can use 8th March, and save this information and go back to previous screen. And now we have two cards, and if we update the first card, so open it and let's update this value to backdate 2012 and save. And here we have the updated date, and click on this add icon and let's update one more value and use this icon and select. So here if we press this save button, so right now nothing is happening. So here we should also notify the user that the current information has been saved, and we should also navigate back to the previous screen. So first simply click on this save and go back, and here we have another information. So now we will add the toast, and also on successfully saving the information we will navigate back to the dashboard screen. And before that, let's update few things. Go to the dashboard screen, and here on this occasion card we see that these items are not center aligned. So on this row, let's use this vertical alignment to center vertically. And if we press this refresh button, and now our UI has been refreshed and icons are center aligned. Next thing, let's give some space between this icon and this text. Let's use this spacer with width, and use this material theme dot spacing dot small, and again refresh. Now we have some space also between the icon and this column text toast. So here go to the calculator package and create one more file with the name calculator event, and this will be a sealed interface. So here let's keep two events. First one will be the show toast. Let's use the data class, and we will also pass the message with this toast. And this needs to be sealed interface. Next will be navigate to dashboard screen, and we will not pass anything, and let's use the data object. Now let's use these events in our view model. So scroll up, and like we are keeping our states in the mutable state flow, for our events we will use the channel. So here let's keep the two version of our events. First let's use the private val and name it event, and we will use the channel from this Kotlin coroutine and define the type as our calculator event. Next let's create the public value and use this events and receive as flow. So we will use these events when we will save the occasions. So here we have the function save occasion, and once it saves the occasion into the local database, then first we need to show the toast, and then we will navigate back to the previous screen. Let's use our event dot send, and first we need to show the toast. So let's send this show toast event with the message saved successfully. And next event will be navigate back to the previous screen. So here in our view model we are sending these events, and then in our calculator screen we will collect these events, and just remove this modifier, and here first we will pass the event of type flow of calculator event and import this flow. And here let's use our launched effect, and for key let's pass the unit and use our event dot collect, and for every single event we will use the when block, and here press alt enter at remaining branches. And if our event is show toast, then we need to show the toast, and if our event is navigate to dashboard screen, then we will navigate to the previous screen. And for showing the toast, it's quite easy. First let's use our toast class, and then we have this function make text, and here we need to provide the context, and context we can create here with the help of this local context dot current, and provide the context here. Next we need to provide the text, and again text we can get from this event. Next the duration, so let's use the toast dot length short, then we can call this show function, and this is how we can show the toast. Next, if the event is navigate to dashboard screen, then we need to call our navigate up function, and this navigate up function we are already handling in our nav graph. It will navigate to the previous screen, and the preview function giving error, so let's just provide the empty flow. And run our app. And the nav graph giving error, so we need to provide that event. So let's attach that here, ViewModel dot event, and run it again. And here is our app. So let's create a new occasion. So here is the date. Let's click on this save icon, and here we got the toast, and it has navigated back us to the previous screen, and we have got one more card. Next thing, we will update this. Here when we will create a new occasion by clicking on this add icon, and we are also getting this delete icon. So when user is creating a new occasion, then this delete icon should not be there, and it should only be there when user is going to the existing occasion, and then user can also delete the occasion by clicking on this delete icon. So we will give this functionality. So for that, first go to our view model and scroll down, and before this calculate stats function, let's create one more function with the name delete occasion. And first call our view model scope.launch, and we will call our repository, and we have this function delete occasion, and this function needs the occasion id, and we already have the occasion id. Here we have, and this occasion id can be null, so let's put a if block. If this occasion id equals to null, then we will return from this function. And if we successfully delete the occasion, then we also need to show the toast and navigating back to the previous screen. So for that, let's copy these two events and use it here, and this time we will show the toast deleted successfully. So we need to call this function. So for that, first go to the calculator action and create one more action with the name delete occasion, and let's attach this action in our screen. And we have this on delete click. Let's use this on action calculator action dot delete occasion, and go to our view model, and in our on action function, in the last, let's press alt enter at remaining branches and call our delete occasion function. And one more thing we need to do, go to our calculator screen, and on this top bar we have this is delete icon visible value, and right now we are providing this hard coded true value. Here we will also keep a one more state. So go to our calculator UI state, and let's keep one more state with the name occasion id. This will be of nullable integer type, and by default keep the null value. So on our calculator screen, we will say if the state dot occasion id not equal to null, then only this delete icon should be visible, meaning we already have some occasion and we are updating the occasion, and this value we will update in our view model. So when we are getting this occasion, so here apart from these state, we will also update our occasion id from our occasion dot id. Now let's run our app again. So here we have our app. First click on this add icon, and here you see we don't have any delete icon because there is no occasion to delete. And if we go to any existing occasion like this, then we have our delete icon. And now let's click on this delete icon, and it has deleted successfully that occasion. So we also have provided the delete functionality. One last thing we need to provide, let's delete all these occasions. And now we have a blank screen. So we will add one functionality that if there is no occasion, then there should be a default occasion. So even if user has installed a fresh app, then it should always see one occasion. So this functionality we will provide in our data repository occasion repository implementation. So here we are getting all our occasions from the local database. So let's create an if else block. If this occasion entities list is not empty, then we will return this list. And if this occasion entities list is empty, so in that case we will return a default occasion. So first create a default occasion with the help of this occasion, and by default we will provide the id null, title, birthday, and date please 0, and emoji let's get from our calculator state, this one, and we will call our DAO and we will insert this occasion. Then we will return this default occasion. So in our repository implementation we are handling if the occasions entity list is not empty, then we will return those lists, and if that is empty then we will first insert the default occasion, then return that occasion. Now let's run our app. And here you see we have one default occasion with the default information. So even if we delete this occasion, then we will always have one occasion. So in this way user can check their age even without going to the next screen, like this. And that's a wrap for this video. We have successfully created our age calculator app. You can extend this app by adding more features, and drop your questions or suggestions in the comments, and don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks again for watching. Happy coding, and I will see you in the next one.